Do you hear him now? Do you hear him now? No, seriously, I'm asking you, the viewer, watching this very review. Do you hear him now? I know I do. I know the crowd at the United Center heard him. Yes, folks, it is official. CM Punk. Yes, CM Punk. CM Chick Magnet, Cookie Monster. CM Punk is all elite. Yes, I said it. CM Punk is all elite, and he is officially with All Elite Wrestling. Holy shit! Like, holy shit! This was... I can't even describe it, man. Like, I went apeshit for this. You know, everybody knew CM Punk, ever since they booked the United Center, everybody knew CM Punk was going to be in this show in some way, shape, or form. But, you know, when Cult of Personality by Living Colour hit the stage, when that song just popped up out of nowhere, in the beginning of the show, I should say. I shouldn't say out of nowhere. You know, as soon as AEW was cutting to the crowd, right at the beginning of the show after the pyro went off, and you had those CM Punk chants, and then Cult of Personality played, I mean, I don't know about you, but I couldn't believe it, man. And you had a lot of people on the internet, you know, saying that he was not going to come back. You had a lot of WWE loyalists, or marks, I should say, just, you know, saying this wasn't going to happen. And keep in mind, this happened right after SmackDown. This happened right after SmackDown. Guys, it's CM fucking Punk. CM Punk is all elite. What is my reaction? My reaction is, like, I'm speechless. I'm absolutely speechless. Like, you guys don't understand. How long has it been since CM Punk left wrestling? Be honest with yourselves. How long has it been since CM Punk left wrestling? After the Royal Rumble back in 2014. That is when he left wrestling. And for 7 years, for 7 long freaking years, everybody was expecting, oh, CM Punk is going to return to the WWE. A lot of people were making headlines, all that stuff. A lot of people were trying to get the scoops of, hey, CM Punk is returning to the WWE. And this was before AEW was even a thing, I might add. This was before AEW was even a freaking thing. Now, look at this 2-year-old company starting up. Tony Khan, a freaking billionaire, starting up his own wrestling company with Cody, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, the Elite, starting up All Elite Wrestling. What was the first signing that Tony Khan wanted to sign with AEW? It was CM Punk. It was CM Punk. And it couldn't happen. You know, it didn't happen. Fast forward 2 years later, on the second episode of their secondary show, or I shouldn't even call it secondary. It's equal to Dynamite now. Like, on the second ever Rampage, CM Punk makes his debut at the United Center in AEW. I'm absolutely speechless. This is by far the greatest moment in the history of modern wrestling. And I know I'm going far-fetched with that, but, like, come on. The internet, Twitter, went apeshit for this. CM Punk, man. It's CM Punk. Like, you can't get better than that. And we just had SmackDown. And I swear to you, the crowd, like, look, I don't want to say anything about the SmackDown crowd, but let's be straight up. SmackDown was just full of rematches and all that stuff, but everybody was hyped for this show. Nobody cared about SmackDown. Everybody cared about this show. And, you know, I'm going to say this right now to all of the WWE loyalists. Look, and this goes to the AEW loyalists as well, because, you know, I, for one, love everything. I love WWE, even though they book the worst pieces of television in their modern history. I love AEW. I love all wrestling. Be straight up. Enjoy, as CM Punk stated at StarCast 2 years ago, it doesn't matter if you're a fan of WWE. It doesn't matter if you're a fan of AEW. Just enjoy the wrestling. Just enjoy it. You know, and this especially goes for all the WWE loyalists. I'm going to say this right now. all these people that were saying, oh, CM Punk's not coming back, he couldn't draw dimes. I mean, you had Roman Reigns, of all people, talk about how CM Punk wasn't a draw compared to guys like John Cena and The Rock. Well, CM Punk never fit the WWE mold. I hate to break it to you, but CM Punk never fit the WWE mold. He was the WWE champion for over 400 days. But, you know, this guy was extremely over with the crowd. You know, even after his 2 UFC losses, the guy still remained to be relevant. And a lot of people would say, oh, but nobody's going to care about him because of the fact of his 2 UFC losses. Well, I hate to break it to you, but this is professional wrestling. This is not fucking mixed martial arts. This is not UFC. This is pro wrestling we're talking about. This is pro wrestling we're talking about. And, you know, with CM Punk going to AEW, I mean, like, I'm going to ask you, the viewer, and I know this is a common trend. I don't want to say a trend, you know. I kind of sound egotistical, but, like, this ain't no trend. But, you know, I'm going to ask you, the viewer, are you excited for SummerSlam tomorrow night? Because, you know, after this show, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I honestly don't give a shit about SummerSlam. I honestly don't. I'm still excited for John Cena versus Roman Reigns. That match is going to be amazing. Edge versus Seth Rollins. I mean, the promo that Edge cut earlier tonight was really good. But let's be straight up. CM Punk, bro. CM Punk, in his first match of AEW, is going to be wrestling September 5th at All Out against Darby Allin. Like, are you excited about that? Because I'm extremely excited. Like, oh my God. Like, we are on the verge of history right now. Like, this is insane. You know, this is freaking insane, bro. Look at this. Look at this crowd. Look at this guy. Emotional. Emotional for CM Punk. And I do not blame him. I absolutely do not freaking blame him. This is an amazing moment. You know, we're gonna be telling our kids 20 years from now and be like, yo, I was there watching on the television set when CM Punk made his return to professional wrestling. Again, to all the WWE loyalists, you know, that were saying, oh, CM Punk couldn't draw dimes or stuff, and, you know, saying that CM Punk was not going to return, or, like, just basically just talking shit, I'm going to tell you guys this right now. If CM Punk ever returned to the WWE, you guys would have been saying the exact same thing that all of the AEW fans are saying about CM Punk. Like, you guys would have been supporting CM Punk returning to the WWE. But no, he's going to AEW, so you guys are immensely just hating on it. You know, also, all those people watching, you know, all the WWE loyalists, or the shills, as a lot of people say, I'm going to tell you guys one thing. Just watch Dynamite. Appreciate what you see on the television set. And this goes to both WWE fans and AEW fans. Appreciate what you see on the television set. Now, when it comes to the WWE product, I don't know about that, but appreciate what you see on Wednesdays and Fridays. Just appreciate it. Because this is what we were wanting for years. You know, for me, I've been a fan since 2010. I was introduced to TNA around 2013. They were still on Spike, and this was during the middle of the Aces and Eights storyline, and, you know, that was when I was introduced to the outer portions, like the wrestling outside of the WWE. I didn't take it really seriously until, you know, the Elite and the Bullet Club was starting to, like, become popular. Now, granted, I was one of those people that wore the freaking Bullet Club shirts without even watching any of New Japan, because, like, I've seen it all the time in WWE television. I've seen guys wear Bullet Club shirts all the time. Yes, I'll admit it, I was one of those people. But then when AEW started, hell, when ALLIN happened, when AEW started, all I've wanted was another wrestling show on national television, another promotion. And this is what we got. We got AEW on TNT, Turner Network Television, on the former network of WCW. Like, now we got 2 shows on TNT. Dynamite and Rampage. Like, and we got CM Punk in AEW in 2021. Like, this is history, man. I mean, I guarantee you the people in charge of the main roster in WWE, hell, even Triple H, and, you know, there was a lot of shit that was going on in NXT in the past few weeks with all these cuts going on and all that stuff. I guarantee you they were shitting their pants when they saw Phil Brooks go to the ring. They were shitting their pants when Cult of Personality hit and all that stuff. And I know I'm kind of going a little bit far-fetched here, but let's be straight up, man. You know, the WWE has gone soft these past few years. You know, I'm going to be straight up. If there was no AEW, I probably wouldn't have continued to watch wrestling. I would have given up. You probably wouldn't be seeing this channel. I probably wouldn't have started a channel. I know my audience is extremely small, but, like, I'm just being honest. You know, if AEW wasn't a thing, I would have not made a freaking YouTube channel at all. I wouldn't have been watching wrestling at all. Because you know why? The WWE product has become so stale and it's become so repetitive that it insults the viewer's intelligence. Not in AEW. You call me a mark. I don't care. I don't care. Call me a mark in the comment section. This is an amazing moment. You know, I love this. This is amazing. I'm extremely happy. You know, 2021 has been a wild year, especially for wrestling. It has been a wild year for professional wrestling. And, you know, with this whole thing with CM Punk, and then we're going to be getting Bryan Danielson of all people. Yes, Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon. Who knows what can happen? He's probably the one that's going to show up at All Out and basically challenge Kenny Omega. Like, we got CM Punk, Bryan Danielson coming in. We don't know when Bryan Danielson is coming in, but we know damn well Bryan Danielson is going to AEW. We just know that for a fact. Adam Cole, most likely his last match is going to be this Sunday at TakeOver against Kyle O'Reilly. We got Bray Wyatt being released. Bray Wyatt. We got Malachi Black, Andrade. Aligned himself with Ric Flair at Triple Frickin' Mania. And now we got CM Punk on AEW television. Don't tell me that this is not a big deal. Because if you are one of those people that says that this is not a big deal, you're dead wrong. I'm so sorry. You are dead wrong. You are dead wrong. I'm being straight up. You are dead wrong if you do not think this is a big moment. And I know I'm kind of getting, a little bit amped up. I'm just happy as hell. I'm happy as hell that this has happened. I never thought in a million years that CM Punk would, go to a promotion that has been around for 2 years, let alone be on national television on TNT. Everybody thought that he was going to come back to the WWE even when AEW wasn't even a thing. And I was one of those people. I know, one day I was like, one day CM Punk is coming back to the WWE because it's been way too long. But never in my life has CM Punk, I would have thought that CM Punk was going to go to AEW. At first, I was like, yeah, CM Punk is definitely going to be a signing. But then, CM Punk was saying, like, oh, I was been getting text messages and stuff. That's kind of unprofessional, all that stuff. And then they were like, yeah, he's not going to AEW. But then all of a sudden, the rumors that were going on with Danielson and CM Punk, about my freaking mic, like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 weeks ago, like I came back from vacation. I missed Dynamite that night because that was the time I arrived back in Jersey from vacation. And then all of a sudden I see reports of CM Punk and Bryan Danielson reportedly signed with AEW. Are you freaking kidding me? Never in a freaking million years, bro. This is an amazing moment. This is an amazing moment. Drink it in, man, like Chris Jericho would say in 2016. Drink it in, because we probably will never get a moment like this again. We are on the verge of wrestling history, guys, okay? And a lot of podcasters have been saying this, and rightfully so. Enjoy what you see, because we'll probably never get a moment like this again. WWE fans, AEW fans, Ring of Honor fans, Impact fans, New Japan fans, AAA fans, CMLL, all those guys, everybody, NXT fans. Instead of debating, because I think, debating about pro wrestling is really stupid. Now, you can debate, but just arguing over the dumbest shit, is just the dumbest thing ever. But appreciate what you see, especially what we saw about an hour ago. Just appreciate what we saw at that 10 o'clock time slot, August 20th on TNT at the United Center in Chicago. CM Punk is officially all elite. Now, I'm going to get on, before I get on with this whole CM Punk speech that he cut, of course, don't forget, I don't know if, I think you guys forgot. Let's be straight up, Let's be straight up. Do you guys care about SummerSlam? Put it in the comments. Do you guys really care about SummerSlam? Because, I'm still pretty much excited for SummerSlam, but, with this whole CM Punk thing going on, I don't know what the hell is going to happen. I do not know what in the living hell is going to happen. But the Broken Havoc podcast is going live tomorrow night. Just a reminder. We're going to be live right after SummerSlam, and we're going to be reviewing the show. And again, I've stated this in my predictions video that basically the SmackDown half of the card is much better than the Raw side of the card. And then, of course, we got September 5th, All Out, the in-ring return of CM Punk going up against Darby Allin in his first match back in 7 long years. I'm going to be live on YouTube right after the pay-per-view ends. It's going to be a huge night for pro wrestling. I think SummerSlam is going to be thrown completely out the window. As much as I'm going to enjoy SummerSlam, most likely tomorrow night, All Out is going to be where it's at. But the Broken Havoc podcast is going live tomorrow night for the first time on YouTube. So be on the lookout for that live stream. Be on the lookout for that live stream. Again, I'm just freaking like speechless like crazy, man. This is insane. And how long have I, for the first 15 minutes, I've been just talking about CM Punk and I didn't even get to his speech yet. That is the craziest shit ever. I didn't even get to his speech yet and I've been talking about CM Punk for the first 15 minutes of this review. Like, again, like, CM Punk, being in the middle of the ring, just sitting down in the middle of that ring in Chicago. Dude, it just, it gave you a sense of, like, as John Moxley stated in March of last year on that Dynamite After Revolution where he won the world title. This is really the true beginning of professional wrestling being back. Professional wrestling is back, especially with someone like CM Punk sitting down in the middle of the ring at the United Center in Chicago. And everybody at the United Center got them free ice cream bars. I gotta get myself that. I'm definitely buying that fucking shirt. I am buying that fucking shirt. Like, legit. I am buying that shirt online on Shop AEW. Look, I know I sound like a mark, and I know I do, and I apologize, but I'm just happy. I'm happy, man, because, like, fans have been craving for stuff like this since CM Punk left. For years. Hell, even when WCW closed, I mean, we got it. We got an alternative. I don't even want to call it an alternative anymore. This is competition. WWE got official competition now. They got competition. WWE has competition now. This is the true competition. When they got CM Punk, that is the true competition. But I've been rambling for now 17 minutes. I'm looking at my OBS. I'm looking at OBS right now. It's 17 minutes that I've been recording this review, and I'm still rambling about CM Punk, and I haven't even gone to the freaking speech. All right, I'm gonna talk about the speech. So of course, CM Punk, he comes out to Cult of Personality. Of course, Ringside News put out a report that they were saying, "Oh, CM Punk can use his WWE theme, Cult of Personality." Of course, he can use it. WWE does not own Cult of Personality. They don't own that. But still, it's awesome to see here Cult of Personality. Some people were saying, they wanted to hear Kill Switch Engage. Of course, This Fire Burns, which I love that theme song. I love This Fire Burns. That was, when CM Punk first came in 2006 on the ECW brand. I mean, that's the song that it came out to, and he had that song for the first few years of his WWE career. But back with the speech. So he comes out. The crowd, of course, is just popping for CM Punk, and the first thing he says once he goes, before he gets to the ring, he just jumps to the crowd, like jumps in the crowd and just celebrates with everybody. He later goes towards Brock Lesnar, guy who appears in every freaking wrestling event, in WWE events and AEW events. Like, Brock Lesnar guy being there is like the biggest heel turn in professional wrestling history. But, it was awesome to see that. But he goes in the ring, and the first thing he says is, "You guys really know how to make a kid feel like Britt Baker in Britsburg." So a little Knott's Britt Baker right there, and the crowd just goes apeshit. And says that he did not plan and didn't know how to basically feel it. And says he feels you, Chicago, and hears you, Chicago. So at this point, the crowd is on fire, and the crowd went apeshit throughout this entirety. The whole first 20 minutes of this show with CM Punk. Who knows what CM Punk is going to say on Wednesday? But, we got some CM Punk chants. He says that's what he heard for 7 years. And says there is good news and there is bad news. The bad news is they cannot cover everything tonight, of course, because it's a 1-hour show. But Wednesday and Sundays, a year, he got the time, and he isn't going anywhere. And I'm literally I wrote down his whole speech. Like, this was amazing. And says that if at all throughout his journey, any of his personal choices and decisions in his life made us feel disappointed, he says that he understands. Because, we all were craving for CM Punk ever since January of 2014. Then after that, he says he was never going to get healthy mentally, spiritually, and emotionally staying in the same place. And you guys know what that place is up north. Then he tells Chicago a story. Then takes off his sweater and reveals his new shirt. That is definitely selling out. ProWrestlingTees.com. I guarantee you that. Then he asks the crowd a story. Again, he does this. He does this. He sits down in the middle of the freaking ring. He sits down in the middle of the ring. And what happens? He says that he felt like before he had to leave. And says that he needed to leave ROH, Ring of Honor. Because a lot of people say guys like CM Punk were the wrestlers that made Ring of Honor. Guys like Bryan Danielson, hell, Samoa Joe was in Ring of Honor. Then what happens? He says August 13th, 2005 was his last night of professional wrestling, or in professional wrestling. Then he says he was crying. He made a place where people can come to work, get paid, and have people learn their craft of professional wrestling. Then after that, he cried because he was leaving a place that he loved and wasn't going to be easy for a guy like him because he is one of us. He is one of the fans. That was an awesome line right there. Then he looks at this. He looks at it like this. August 13th, 2005, he left professional wrestling. August 20th, 2021, he is back in professional wrestling. My God, man. When he said that, when CM Punk said that, that was amazing. And that was a little bit of a nod to WWE because let's be straight up. Ask yourself this question. Is WWE really professional wrestling to you? Because I don't think it is. They don't call themselves. They hate the word professional wrestling. You hear these stories of Vince McMahon hating the word professional wrestling. He says sports entertainment. And the fact that CM Punk says August 13th, 2005, when he signed his contract to World Wrestling Entertainment and left Ring of Honor, he left professional wrestling and he went to sports entertainment. And August 20th, 2021, he makes his official return to pro wrestling. Then, after that, he says that he's back, and he's not only back for the fans, but he's also back for himself. Of course, it's CM Punk. What do you expect? He's getting that big paycheck. He's back because there's a hell of a lot of talent that he wishes that was in the same locker room 10 years ago. He sits back and says that they are there. Then he says that he is back because he wants to work with the talent that have the passion. Says that there are some scores to settle in that locker room, and we all know a lot of those scores. One match I'm extremely excited about, and definitely we will be seeing Kenny Omega versus CM Punk. That is going to sell out a fucking stadium. I don't give a shit what anybody says. So after that, he calls out Darby Allin, and what happens? Sting and Darby Allin are on the frickin' rafters of the United Center. And what happens after that? Basically, CM Punk puts over Darby Allin, says that he is good, calls him tough, and says that he is here to help, and he is the first one on the list. Says there's nothing more dangerous than wrestling CM Punk, except wrestling CM Punk in Chicago, September 5th, at All Out. Then after that, says 7 years is a long time, and he appreciates everything. And after that, he says, everyone, grab a free ice cream bar on the way out of the United Center. So, CM Punk, AEW's going to be making bank on that freaking, on those ice cream bars. Because, CM Punk loved those WWE ice cream bars back in the day. But, again, what are my thoughts on this? It was an amazing speech that CM Punk has made. It goes to show you that, he really did miss professional wrestling. When he left, he just wanted to distance himself away from pro wrestling. He just hated it. But the reaction from the crowd, the crowd never left. The crowd never left. And that's what you, the viewer, need to realize. The crowd never left. You constantly heard CM Punk's name chanted everywhere. Chicago. Every time the WWE went to Chicago for a Raw or for a SmackDown, you always heard CM Punk name chants in Chicago. Just a couple weeks ago, Raw was in Chicago. It took WWE to edit out and edit in crowd noises for the fan for basically you, the viewer, to not like hear the fans hijacking the show. And, you know, with CM Punk, you know, CM Punk is back. And the fact that his first match is going to be against Darby Allin, I mean, we all saw it coming, but they are absolutely going to 100% kill it September 5th at the Now Arena at All Out. You know, what a time to be alive. What a time to be a fan of pro wrestling. Just literally, think about that. What a time to be a fan of pro wrestling. I've been a fan for 10 years and I've never like been more excited than I am now. The last time I was probably excited about something was, I don't know, 2016 when, like, you know, WWE brought back the brand split. Like, that was like the last time I was hyped. I'm be straight up. But look where that got the WWE. Creatively, at least. Financially, they're doing well, but let's be straight up. This is the greatest day in wrestling history. I don't care what anybody says. This is the greatest day in wrestling, in modern wrestling history, I should say. But this is amazing. All right. Back with Rampage, you know. Rampage, this whole show was really good. Of course, AEW was rushing the matches because CM Punk went like 20 to 24, 25 minutes in his first speech. But our first matchup of the evening was Jungle Boy, the Jurassic Express Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus going up against Private Party in the Eliminator tournament, in the first round of the Eliminator tournament. Of course, the Young Bucks are on the stage watching this. And look, for the beginning of the portion of this match, you know, I couldn't even pay attention for what was going on. I literally could not pay attention of what was going on. Like, I'm being straight up. But, you know, I was still hyped about CM Punk and all that stuff. Like, CM Punk was trending #1. You had a lot of CM Punk related hashtags trending in the top 25. You know, hashtag CM Punk, hashtag best in the world, hashtag cult of personality. Like, bro, CM Punk was #1 on trending, man. #1 on trending. That is crazy. Like, I don't want to go like far. I don't want to far-fetched, but like I feel like we're entering in a little bit of a boom period. I know that's kind of far-fetched, and I know that's kind of a little bit over the top because I don't think wrestling will ever reach the 6s and the 7s. But I feel like we're reaching into a modern pro wrestling boom of some sorts. I mean, that's just my view. I may be wrong in that, and I may be going far-fetched, but like, I mean, with CM Punk, I mean, how better can you get? You know, Bryan Danielson, he's going to be next, and it's going to be insane. Bryan Danielson coming to AEW, it's going to be the best thing ever as well. But back to Jurassic Express versus Private Party in the first round of the Eliminator tournament. It's a mini tournament that they're having, of course. The winner of the tournament faces the Young Bucks September 5th at All Out in Chicago inside of a steel cage, which I thought was a great booking decision by AEW. I love the fact that they're having a steel cage at All Out. Of course, All Out is AEW's biggest pay-per-view of the year. But the Young Bucks come out and watch the match. So the match starts. Jungle Boy and Isaiah Cassidy start. We get a takedown by Jungle Boy. You know, we got a lot of technical wrestling by both Isaiah Cassidy and Jungle Boy in this match. Mark Quinn after that tags in. We got a double team attempt by Private Party. Then Jungle Boy with a couple chops. By this point, Jungle Boy's on fire, and the crowd is loving Jungle Boy. You know, ever since his match with Kenny Omega. I mean, I shouldn't even say ever since his match with Kenny Omega. I should just say, like, ever since, Jungle Boy was always over, but ever since, he had that Tarzan Boy theme come out, when he came out to Tarzan Boy, like, bro, the crowd was just going apeshit for Jungle Boy, but Jungle Boy was over in Chicago like $1 million. That was crazy. But we get a takedown by Mark Quinn. Private Party with repeated kicks. Then Private Party works on Jungle Boy during the commercial break. We get a drop kick by Jungle Boy. Luchasaurus tags in. We get a couple of strikes by Luchasaurus. Of course, he got a master's degree. What can you expect? Then he takes Cassidy into the corner. We get a back body drop by Mark Quinn. We get a double clothesline by Luchasaurus. Jungle Boy after that tags in. Then Luchasaurus takes Cassidy to the top. Jungle Boy goes to the top. Then Cassidy tries to fight back. Then we get an enziguri on Luchasaurus on Mark Quinn. Then we got the spot of the night, in my opinion. So Jungle Boy was on top of Luchasaurus, but then all of a sudden, Isaiah Cassidy hits he pulls a P.D. Williams, but he pulls a mega P.D. Williams. He pulls a freaking P.D. Williams off of the top rope. He hits a fucking Canadian destroyer. The best finishing move in the history of professional wrestling, as John West would say. The Canadian destroyer. I fucking loved it. But after that amazing Canadian destroyer, we get a cover and a near fall. Mark Quinn then hits a missile dropkick. Luchasaurus after that takes out Mark Quinn. Then Cassidy takes out Luchasaurus on the outside. And then we get a springboard shooting star press by Mark Quinn on the outside of Luchasaurus. We get a cutter by Jungle Boy on Cassidy with the help of Luchasaurus after that. We get a cover and a near fall. Matt Hardy tries to interfere, but Marco Stunt tries to help Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy by taking Matt Hardy out, but then Matt Hardy takes out Marco Stunt after that. But then we get a roll-up by Cassidy, and we got a really close near fall in the match. Then he takes Jungle Boy to the top. Private Party tries to go for the Gin and Juice, but what happens? Jungle Boy counters the Gin and Juice with a DDT after that. Jurassic Express then by the Jurassic Express hit the Jurassic Express on Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy, or I believe it was on Mark Quinn. I don't even remember what member of Private Party got hit with that finisher because I didn't write in my notes, but we get a cover and Jurassic Express, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy win the match. Overall thoughts on this this whole match, the beginning portions of the match, I wasn't really invested in because I was still trying to soak in CM Punk. But later on in this match, there were some really good spots. That Canadian Destroyer spot by, I think it was Isaiah Cassidy. Yeah, it was Isaiah Cassidy. That Canadian Destroyer spot by Isaiah Cassidy was amazing. That was an amazing spot. And, of course, we got the springboard shooting star by Mark Quinn on the outside later on in the match. But then, you had Jungle Boy counter the Gin and Juice with the freaking DDT, which looked amazing. Jungle Boy was on fire. Everybody was on fire in this match. Jurassic Express elevates or go up onto the tournament. I do believe they're going to be the ones to eventually face the Young Bucks at All Out because they did almost beat the Young Bucks this past Wednesday on Dynamite in a really good match. It was a really, really good match. If you have not watched the match, just check it out. It was a really awesome match. They absolutely tore the house down in Houston, Texas that night. But I feel like, having the match inside of a steel cage, it's going to be amazing. But we got Kenny Omega and Don Callis backstage complaining about Christian ruining everything. Oh, yeah, and I forgot to tell you, there was a backstage segment with Christian Cage after the whole CM Punk thing I forgot to put out in the notes because I was still soaking it in with CM Punk, as I stated earlier. We got Jade Cargill versus Kierra Hogan, one half of Fire and Flava. Well, she's no longer in a tag team with Tasha Steelz, but we got Kierra Hogan, of course, her first televised match in AEW on TNT on Rampage. This was a really short match. I expected this match to be extremely short. First off, I didn't really care about this match. I'm a fan of Kierra Hogan. Kierra Hogan is not bad at all. But having Jade Cargill go, I feel like AEW is having a little bit of high hopes. They're pushing hard on Jade Cargill, especially after, basically squashing Kierra Hogan in this match. But Jade pushes Hogan. We get a right forearm by Hogan. We get a kick by Hogan as well. Then we get a clothesline in the corner by Kierra Hogan after that. Then Jade hits a kick on Kierra Hogan. Then Jade face plants Hogan and wins the match. Really short match. Honestly, I did not care about this match at all. Of course, you got the Jade brand going strong, but I'm not really caring a lot about the Jade brand. I'm going to be straight up. But we got Mark Henry interviewing Jon Moxley and Daniel Garcia. So this is going to be a common thing. Oh, and I forgot to mention the commentary team. We did not have Chris Jericho on commentary this week, of course. Excalibur was stating that Chris Jericho was basically taking time off after the loss he suffered from MJF in the fifth labor of Jericho this past Wednesday on Dynamite. But we got Jim Ross, good old JR Jim Ross, God, Jim Ross on commentary. And I will be straight up, Jim Ross, he was really good today. And Jim Ross tends to get a lot of criticism, and rightfully so, of his commentary in AEW because, some of his commentary is kind of to me because he botches a lot, but it is what it is. He is a veteran and stuff. He can mess up there and there. Leave it as is. But JR is still the greatest commentator in the history of professional wrestling, in my opinion. But this is going to be a common thing. Mark Henry is going to basically interview the wrestlers before the main event. So that's basically what kind of separates Rampage from Dynamite, is that Mark Henry is definitely 100% going to be a backstage personality and an analyst for AEW Rampage. So I feel like they're keeping their promise on that. But Garcia says, of course, to be the biggest name in AEW, he needs to beat Jon Moxley at the United Center, blah, blah, blah. Jon Moxley cuts a promo saying he's pissed off and says that he's going to bounce his head off the freaking mat and all that shit. I didn't even write down the whole promo, but it's the typical promo that Jon Moxley or Daniel Garcia would cut before a match would happen. But we got Jon Moxley versus Daniel Garcia. Again, this match did not go so long, but considering the fact that this show is only 1 hour. But it was not a bad match. I mean, Garcia showed his strengths in the match. I mean, he didn't look terrible. Moxley, of course, looked great. Of course, he came out to Wild Thing and the crowd went ape shit. But I feel like, the crowd ain't no longer going to be singing Judas or Wild Thing. I mean, they're going to be singing Cult of Personality after, when CM Punk left and they just started singing Cult of Personality. I mean, bruh. A lot of people have been saying this, and I agree. AEW is kind of like ECW vibes because of the crowd. The ECW crowd was insane. Like, they would do some crazy shit, like throw chairs in the ring. But, one of the highlights of the ECW crowd is, like, they would love to participate legitimately in the show. And this is the same thing with the AEW crowd. Like, the ECW crowd would basically sing Enter Sandman whenever Sandman comes out by Metallica. When Sandman would come out, they would play Enter Sandman. The crowd would just sing it. This is the same thing I think it's going to be with CM Punk when, Cult of Personality plays now every time when CM Punk shows up on a Dynamite or a Rampage. So that is awesome to see. But we got Jon Moxley versus Daniel Garcia. Overall thoughts on this match, again, this was a pretty quick match. I mean, of course, this show had to end at 11 o'clock. But the match starts. Moxley goes after Garcia. We get an overhead back suplex by Moxley. Then Moxley with the kick. Then we get a second kick by Moxley. Then hits a third kick on Garcia. Then Garcia proceeds to hit a missile dropkick or shotgun dropkick, whatever you want to call it. Garcia proceeds to target the leg of Jon Moxley for maybe around the duration of the middle of the match. Then he twists the foot of Moxley after that. Moxley with an armbar. We get a chop in the corner by Daniel Garcia after that. We get a boot by Moxley. Moxley then proceeds to hit a German suplex, then hits a second German suplex, but then after that, Garcia counters with the ankle lock. Moxley makes it to the bottom rope to break the hold, of course. Then Garcia with a couple of stomps. Then we get a devastating lariat by Jon Moxley after that. We get a couple of forearm shots by both wrestlers. Then we get a headbutt by Moxley on Daniel Garcia. After that, Moxley with a suplex inside out of Garcia, then tries to go for the paradigm shift, but what happens? Oh crap, I missed my notes right there, but he tries to go for the paradigm shift, but Garcia counters into the ankle lock after that. Moxley counters into a bulldog choke. Garcia taps out. Jon Moxley wins the match in this week's main event for AEW Rampage, the first dance at the United Center. Overall thoughts on this match, again, pretty quick match. I was not really... This whole card for Rampage was really not the important thing. I feel like they just put these matches... Now, granted, the tag team match was great. I expected that match to be the best match on this week's Rampage card. But let's be straight up. I mean, the matches were not the focused point for this show. The focused point was CM Punk. And, it's definitely going to be the main focus for the next couple weeks leading into All Out. Of course, until we get the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, coming out, of course, to the final countdown. But that was Rampage, the first dance at the United Center. Again, I got to pull this picture up again, man. I got to pull this picture up again. CM Punk is all elite. CM Punk is all elite, guys. And you love it. You love it. And I'm going to be straight up. Nobody's going to give a shit about SummerSlam. As much as I'm excited for that show, my excitement for SummerSlam went from here, and then went to here. But, I'm still excited for Cena and Reigns. Yes, they did have that face-off on SmackDown. I thought it was a little bit better than last week's. But, I mean, all focus was on Phil Brooks, CM Punk just coming in. So, yeah. That was my AEW Rampage, The First Dance review. Again, amazing show, amazing atmosphere, amazing crowd in Chicago. Of course, CM Punk's hometown. It's going to be amazing September 5th at All Out when CM Punk goes one-on-one with Darby Allin. It's going to be an amazing moment. I mean, this is by far AEW's biggest signing ever. And, you love to see it. Again, I stated earlier in this review when I spent 20 to 25 minutes just talking about CM Punk before I even went to the whole show. Just enjoy it. enjoy it for what it is, because we probably would never get a moment like this ever again. Just enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment. Quit the arguing on social media with WWE versus AEW, even though I do think AEW is legitimate competition, but just enjoy it, man. Enjoy it. And let's hope that the WWE finally gets up their lazy ass and actually does something for a change. Because this is legitimate competition. They say no alternative anymore. And I know I said quit the argument, but let's be straight up. This is legitimate competition. I kind of take that back a little bit. This is legitimate competition right now. This is legit competition. AEW's on the stratosphere as legit competition now. WWE creatively needs to get up their lazy fucking ass. Yes, they're making all this money in the world, but, they need to get off their lazy ass. They just have to. Get off their lazy ass and just start producing really good shows. That's just my opinion. But this was Rampage, the first dance. Yeah, Rampage, the first dance. CM Punk is All Elite. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more content. I mean, I'm sorry, man. I'm just so hyped for this shit. Like, I've never been more hyped for wrestling. Like, bro, I went live on Instagram reacting to this. And, bro, I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. I was screaming my tails off to the point where I scared my sister. I scared the people in my house. Like I scared the people. I scared my sister and stuff. I was like, oh no, it's CM Punk. I was extremely excited. But again, amazing moment. Just enjoy it for what it is. I'm extremely happy. I know you, the viewer, is. But yeah, that was my Rampage review, The First Dance, emanating from the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications. Hit that subscribe button, guys. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. Again, reminder, my first live stream, I'm taking the Broken Havoc podcast live. Be on the lookout for those live streams for SummerSlams. We got John Cena SummerSlam. I said SummerSlams. Be on the lookout for my live stream. Of course, I'm going to be reviewing SummerSlam live right here on YouTube right after the show goes off the air. So be on the lookout for that live stream. Don't forget to, again, like, subscribe, comment down below. I know I stated that earlier, but again, I keep forgetting my words because of how hyped I am. But like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications. Follow me on social media, on Instagram and Twitter. Hit that subscribe button. Go join my live stream tomorrow night. And this is Broken Havoc from the Broken Havoc podcast. Signing out. See ya.